be careful of what you tell yourself. Words are painful. Like words are legit painful, but especially the ones you say to yourself.
Yeah.
And that would be the one thing that I would go back and readjust is just be careful of what you say to yourself.
All right. Doc Rock, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Super excited to have you. First of all, me being an Ecam user and you helping me out a ton gives me an extra love here to invite you to the show and to talk about streaming, content, you, and so many other things, if that makes sense. We're going to try to make it as brief as possible. I think I want to know where the name Doc Rock came from.
Interesting enough, when I was in the Army, I was a paramedic, and when I joined the Army, I was already DJing as a little kid, just doing street parties and class parties and stuff at school. When I got here, I got stationed in Honolulu. I'm working in Waikiki, DJing at nightclubs, and I used to always be in a hurry to finish my shift at the emergency room so that I could go do my DJ thing. And one of the older nurses used to call me Dr. Rock and Roll. And I didn't have the heart to tell her that I play house and hip hop, but whatever. So it just stuck, and everybody calls you that. And also in the military, if you're one of those people who like measures their rank when you put it on and your shirt's always exactly right, your bed is tucked at 6 inches, they call you Sergeant Rock because you follow the rules to a T. That's just my Virgo nature.
I love that. That is so cool. I did not know that. I just thought Dr. Rock and Roll makes sense. Yeah. Tell me how you got into the world of just video, audio, and all that outside whenever you're done with the DJing business.
And part of it is because of DJing and doing music. Like my first connection to computers was attempting to do sequencing and things to make beats and try to be a hip hop star. And that led me to the whole creativity side with doing graphic arts turns into video. And when I got out of radio, I was very well versed in all the AV stuff as far as computers go. Yes. And so when the pandemic hit, a bunch of my friends who were DJs, we all lost our business that one day. Like everybody, no place to go, no clubs, no weddings, no corporate events, no bats mitzvahs, whatever. Like we were done. And so everybody was freaking out and crying to each other on a Zoom call while we were burying in the drink. And then they were like, hey, how come your Zoom looks so dope and mine doesn't? And I'm like, oh, because I use this program called Ecam. And it allows me to use my good camera and my studio lights and all the equipment that we all have, right? Because we're DJs, right? We have a whole van full of this stuff. I was like, bring that mess in the house and set it up. Put the lights on. Instead of doing the disco mode, put it on white so that it's pointing at you. Set it up the way you would set up a music video. And they all went, oh. And so I was teaching my friends. And some of them, DJs, were slow. We did things that make the brain not work. So I had to do these tutorials to teach them how to do it. And the founders of Ecam saw my tutorials and was like, man, you can speak to this. And it's not some little kid telling people how to do it. And a lot of our users, they look like me, right? They're the same. They're just OGs trying to figure this mess out. So because I could speak sort of the AV nerd world in Muggle speak so that regular people could understand, they asked me to do some tutorials and eventually they hired me.
Wow. When you talk to me about tech support, you do talk in local speak. So I appreciate that.
Yeah, I was trying not to call you out, but you did it yourself. So not my fault.
No, I appreciate it. But I do want to get into why the thing that you're doing is so important, right? Like getting a fancy camera and an updated mic. Those things go a long way. And I think it's not just about looking good. I think it's about having a good experience for whoever you're talking to, even on a Zoom meeting. Do you want to speak to that a little bit?
Yeah, like when you're in, okay, here's a simple one. If you're in a doctor's office and they got to tell you like something like your sacroiliac is out of whack or whatever, they're in their uniform, they're in the doctoral space and they're speaking to you and you take that information as gold. Your brother-in-law or your sister could tell you the exact same thing the doctor told you at the backyard at your house, and you won't take that information. Our brains are wired to accept the information from an authoritative position when someone looks authoritative, right? So Your Zoom setup, which is the generic term I'll use for your mic, your camera,
Mm-hmm.
your lights, whatever, that is your modern day business suit. It's the reason why we used to roll it in an Emilio Zingha nice pinstripe with a perfect tie whenever we walk into a meeting to try to give that level of authority. Today, your camera, your lighting, your microphone, this is your modern day business suit. So
It is.
if you remember doing the panini, that's the term I called the last 3 years, Dr. Rachel is legit one of the 5 smartest people in the planet. But it was really hard to listen to her tell us very important things while Zoom green screen kept like disappearing her head and the videos blinking in and out. It's hard to listen to that person as authoritative when it looks like that. And I was like, my God, I wish I could just go there and set up their light and camera, because she's trying to tell people really important information. Whether you choose to take it, that's up to you. But it was hard to listen to when the microphone's all weird and the video's bouncing all over the place. So now you want to look good. You're showing up to your first date in not a wrinkled t-shirt and jeans if you set your setup.
I know I couldn't agree with you more, maybe partly because I do spend too much money on that department and I have to justify it somehow. The next question I have is, when you're creating content, this is like that Zoom setup, then you start creating content and you want to become a mini, whatever, Gary Vee, I'll call it for fun because we all joke around. This becomes even more important. Can you speak to that? Because that's where you want to go get better equipment, better content output, if that makes sense.
Yeah, let's be honest. I could pull off the look that I have right now. I could pull off almost the exact same look with a modern day iPhone or Android. What is it? S22, 23. I don't really follow that side.
Yeah.
But any of the modern phones comes with a 4K camera, over 20 megapixels. So you could pull off the same look with your phone. It's just a matter of taking the time to get a proper stand for it, not lean up against some books, and to get proper lighting, because anything in good lighting will look good. But the reason why you want to do this, again, like, people want to get more views, right? They want to get more likes. They want to get more engagements. They want to close more sales. And if you want to do those things, then you're going to have to spend maybe an hour setting your studio up right so that you look like you know what you're talking about. And then now, once that comfort level is set, here's the one thing no one ever talks about. I have no problem coming in my space, sitting down and turning on my equipment, because I know already I look good. So now that I'm not worried about what I look like, or kids running around behind me, or the dog, or the housemate walking by with body parts hanging out, I'm focused on my content. Now I can only focus on that. I'm not worried about what's going on behind me because I know it's legit. So that's another reason why to set it up, because now you're focused only on your content, and that's what the people came to see you for. That's why they hired you or booked a meeting with you or whatever. Now you can really focus on what you're focused on. And I think that's important.
I think you're doing a better job serving the customers that you're called to serve by doing this, so that you look professional and you have all your tools put together. You've showed me your desk. I'm not saying to go and show me that. You showed me your desk. You have an awful lot of things that's going on. What is the most simplistic setup somebody could have, Doc Rock?
Phone, a very decent cob light. A cob light is what's known as a circuit on board. Instead of those flat panels that everybody likes to buy because they look like they're simple, actually they're not that good because they don't deliver far. They deliver light in a very short manner. Cob lights nowadays, you can get them really small, about yo big, for a 40 watt and a light modifier like you see at a photography studio. Legit what I have. I have a 60 watt light with a balloon on it. You would see in an Asian town, whatever, you'll see the little lanterns like we have in Japan in front of the ramen shops, but I use white instead of red.
I've been to Chinatown before. I've seen it.
100%. So I use that because it gives a nice soft lighting, but it's bright enough to deliver a decent picture. Honestly, that, a phone and a good quality mic, and you can get a decent Samsung Q2U for $50, and you will sound way better than yelling at the little teeny dot in your computer.
Right. I agree. Even Mac, as being as sophisticated as it can be, I think you would sound better in a mic that is an external mic as opposed to internal. Yes. You lose a lot of the ambience and things like that. Now, you got yourself a very fancy mic. You want to talk about that one?
This is an industry standard podcast radio mic. It's called the Shure SM7B. It's around $400. This mic originally built in 1966. So that's how dope it is. And the next new version came out in 72 and the next one after that in 2001. So it's longevity. It has a legacy. It's been around forever. And you've seen it. You've listened to it in many songs. You have somewhere in your Whitney Houston library where she's belting out a tune recorded on this mic. This has been around in forever. So it's industry standard. It really is amazing. And if you can swing it, do it right away. Because if not, you're going to buy a bunch of cheaper mics and eventually you're going to buy this.
Eventually it's going to add up to more than $400.
100%. 100%.
So tell me more about, like I said, how content creators are using Ecam and how Ecam is like changing the world.
We started out, and the software is still called Ecam Live, but trust me, you do not have to go live. You can do what we're doing right now. We're recording. We're
using
recording
Ecam too.
Using Riverside, but we're using Ecam as the feed in because I might want to show some graphics or some interstitials or things that I have, and I can easily do that without having to worry about switching things in a different program. What a large portion of our clientele use it for is they use it just to get a better looking feed into their Zoom or their webinar software. Like maybe they're using WebEx or Microsoft Teams or Google Meet. But we are acting as a production studio. So, we have multiple cameras. You can switch to overhead shots and all the above. And like for right now, in our particular setup, me talking to you, I would have to say, hey, could you switch to an overhead shot? But I could just do that and then throw my overhead shot and then do that. And then I'm back to me. Right. And then being from Hawaii, I have to give you one of these.
Jeez.
You know what I mean?
That is true.
You know what I'm saying? So,
Aloha.
To me, this particular setup and being able to switch, do things on the fly, throw up a quick text, it gives me a different level of control over what I'm doing. And I think it just adds to the picture, right? So let me just do this real quick. Boom.
There you go.
I can just, yeah. So that's why it's fun.
I appreciate that. Yeah, I think I'm using it too. And we do virtual webcam, and it enables us to do a lot more things than just connecting a webcam or a real camera together. I want to talk about, where do you think, as everything, now Ecam lets you go live on Facebook and YouTube and wherever else all at the same time. Where do you think it's headed? If you're able to share, whatever.
What's funny is I work here and I teach people how to go to multiple locations all the time. Me personally, I never multi-stream. I actually despise it. And I'll tell you why. It bifurcates the community. I have been on those situations where you're the one person coming in from LinkedIn and there's 4 people coming in from Facebook and there's 50 people coming in from YouTube. And those 50 are having a conversation that you cannot be a part of. You can send a comment to the host and hope the host sees it and then brings it up. And maybe they're interacting, but you don't see their interaction. So I personally say put it in one place. And I know that freaks people out because they think doing what I just said would mean instead of having 50 people on YouTube, now we technically have 56. But those 6 people aren't really part of the mass. And so it takes away from building a community. I'm all about building the community. So I tend to go to one and I teach my people that are in the other places, look, man, the party is better over here. YouTube allows you to listen
being
to the
a DJ.
background. Right? Yeah, it's like being a DJ, right? I drag people out of the VIP room. Like, I know y'all are rich and stuff, but the dance floor is the move. Let's get over here.
Yes.
And so I legit was sending my staff members to go get the people from the VIP room and drag them out into the party. And then they would have so much fun. You know what they do? Book another $600 a night VIP room.
That's right.
But if you just left them in there, they're like, we went there and that wasn't even fun. It's like, because you were hiding. Like you did it. You ruined your own $600. So I would make my staff go get them and drag them out, and they always loved it. Or I would just walk in there and just start yelling at them. What you guys doing in here? Like, why are you paying all this money to hide in the corner? And it's funny. And they would always laugh, and people always had a good time. And so I remember that from reality. So when you're doing it virtually, you want your people together so they can conversate, and they generate new bonds. They meet each other. They build deeper connections. So me personally, I don't do that. And I understand why people do it, because I'll be honest, and no one's going to want to hear this. That's your ego wants you to do that. Put your ego backwards.
Absolutely. But I was saying, like, the tech is there to do all of that. Where do you think it's
100%.
going to be the next? What's next?
Man, I wish I was better at this. I would be richer, and I wouldn't be talking to you right now. I'll be living in Japan going, Tim, call me back. I'm busy. Honestly, I think to me, the best thing that this is doing leaning forward is giving everybody an opportunity to share their story and share their
I
voice,
agree.
because somebody needs to hear you. I
Mhm.
think maybe the VR stuff is going to bring it to the next
Yeah.
level. And one thing I want people to listen to, if they can, is that when Apple drops the Vision Pro, it is not
Yeah.
a VR headset. Okay, it is not what we know it is right now. It's going to be
Hmm.
completely different. It's the next iPhone. It's the next completely immersive, different type device. And you'll notice in all of their copywriting, all of their speak, whatever, they never mention VR and they never mention AI, because that's not what they're
Hmm.
trying to get you to. They're trying to get you to a different immersive experience. I think that
I
is
know.
definitely what's next.
Are you excited?
I already put my funds away, so I don't want to wait till February and they be like, "Hey man, you owe us $3,800," and I'm gonna be like, "No, how do I get this?" I'm already putting that money away. It's already locked up.
Jeez.
Don't touch it.
No, that's awesome. I agree with you. Like I said, there's not much that you can add to Ecam, but you guys keep surprising with new features. And I do appreciate the developers that are working really hard. It's becoming one of those apps that I have to run on all kinds of video projects, from Zoom to Riverside here to just going live directly on Ecam. I think I talked about Ecam enough. I want to talk about, what piece of advice would you give your younger self, Doc Rock? If you can go back, what would you tell your 18-year-old DJ in Hawaii or wherever Army base?
When I bought that first 15 Apple stocks at $4, keep it. Don't sell it
I hope you
to
did.
go. No, I sold it. I took it out because I wanted to go on vacation with my friends. We went skiing. Yeah, it was cool. But I was like, yo, this is really stupid. Like,
I like that.
again, I would have been super stupid rich. No, honestly, it's, be careful of what you tell yourself. Words are painful. Like, words are legit painful, but especially the ones you say to yourself.
Yeah.
And that would be the one thing that I would go back and readjust, is just be careful of what you say to yourself.
I appreciate that. I think that's strong. What piece of advice would you give to a content creator or an entrepreneur who's hesitating to create content because, I don't know, like you said, I don't have the perfect background and I don't have the perfect mic and I don't have this and I'm not ready yet. I need to read another book.
I'll put it to you this way. There is absolutely no such thing as perfect. There was perfect created once on December 25th, 2020, 4 years ago. That was the only thing that was ever created perfect. And at this point, nothing else has been that way. And so, yeah, you can't get to perfect. It doesn't exist. Just tell yourself it doesn't exist. Okay, except for your spouse or your other half, tell them they're perfect, but that's lying to them, but that's okay. We'll let that slide. Other than that, get it out of your head. It's a useless thought. It serves you no purpose. It will ruin your mission. I actually sell a t-shirt on my merch shop that says perfection kills profitability. And I believe that to the end of my core.
And I'm wearing the Ecam merch shop game changer.
Yes.
Trying to be part of the community, as you put it.
The Ecam fam, that's life, man. That's what it is.
I will definitely put a link to your merch shop on the description of the podcast. Doc Rock, with that said, where can they find you?
I am pretty much Doc Rock on all social medias. I try to get there first and lock it down, but I think maybe the best place would be on my YouTube. And I have a newsletter where I drop random things that pop in my head because I got to get them out, and it's createbetter.life.
I like that. Do you have an assistant helping you with that, or are you really on your own?
I do it all by myself at this point. I have my moderator and I have my sort of editor, producer, Luis, and my moderator, Paul. They help me keep everything together so people don't say dumb stuff in comments or whatever. But I am I'm Virgo and a control freak, and I hate to say it, recovering perfectionist. So I haven't released the assistants yet. I know I need to, but I'm like, man, I'm gonna just spend most of my time trying to teach them how to do it. So
Yes.
it's gonna be a pain in the butt, but I will get there. So right now, what I'm doing is I'm coaching my niece and my nephew how to be content creators, because I know how dope it is and I know where the possibilities and potential are. So many people
Right.
are like, I don't want my kid on the phone and the computer anymore. And I'm like, so yeah, here's what you do. I tell them they have to create more than they consume. So my nephew is creating choreographed dance routines. He's creating beats for other dancers to dance to. He just
Wow.
won a national title for dancing and freestyle and hip hop. And by him making this music and making these videos and share it to the world, he's not just watching other people on TikTok or YouTube. Like, he has to make his own stuff. And
Right.
creators, I don't care what you do, and in the industry, the creators always make more than the consumers.
I do. I cannot. That is the $4 equivalent of Apple stock.
100%.
Yeah, meaning if you create, you're going to make way more in the long run than to just sell it and go on vacation, which is like consuming content. But yes,
Yep.
I couldn't agree more, and I'm glad we're both on the same page there. Thank you so much for joining me today,
And
Doc
this is
Rock,
great.
with
I
your busy
appreciate
schedule.
you. I really
All
appreciate
right.
you. Thank you.